everyone, and welcome to Pal to Tech. This year, Fujifilm launched the X106, and with it, a new film simulation called Reala Ace. And then, in a subsequent firmware update, they brought it over to some 5th-generation processor cameras, such as the X-T5. For those not familiar with Reala Ace, it's a little less saturated than Provia, a little more saturated than Classic Chrome, and it has an edgier tonality than Pro Negative High. Unfortunately, older camera models like the X-T3 or X-T4 that still use the 4th-generation processor have not and probably will not receive Reala Ace. However, your Uncle Pal to Tech is here today, and there is a way that you can shoot with your X-T3 and then in post-production create JPEG files with the Reala Ace film simulation included. And you can do this on both Windows and Mac computers, and it can be done for free. This video will involve modifying files on your computer used by your photo editing software. So with that in mind, I recommend that you don't modify or play around with the existing software that you use to edit your regular business client files. If you end up breaking something, or if there's a software update that then breaks something, I don't want your software workflow or your business affected. So the first thing you're going to want to do is prepare your camera. You must be shooting in either RAW or in RAW plus JPEG. We are only going to be using the RAW file and then applying Reala Ace to that. And frankly, it doesn't matter much what the other settings are right here, like film simulation, color, clarity, etc., because all of those will be edited later on with the RAW file. Secondly, whether you have a Windows or a Mac machine, you need to use Capture One in order to do this. You have 3 options. First, you can just download a full version of Capture One for free and use it out for 30 days. Second, if you already have Capture One, then you can just use that. Assuming, of course, you aren't using it already for important client business photos. There is a third option, and there is a special free version of Capture One specifically for Fujifilm users. Basically, you put in your serial number of the camera series and model, and then create an account. By the way, this reminds me to tell you, this video is not sponsored whatsoever by Capture One. There are no affiliate links to Capture One. In fact, they have no idea I'm even making this video. I'm only using Capture One, and I'm not using Lightroom because Adobe's software, in particular Lightroom, now makes it virtually impossible to do this. Once you have Capture One installed, you're basically going to be copying some of the program's files and then renaming them and then putting them back in the original folder. So right here, I've got a RAW file that I shot on an X-T3. And if I go down to Curve, you'll see that they have the film simulations, but of course, no Reala Ace. So what you need to do is close out Capture One. Now I'm going to give you instructions for both Windows and Mac. I'll start with Mac. You need to open up your applications folder on the Mac right here and look for your Capture One program. Go ahead and right click and select Show Package Contents. Go into the Contents folder, then go into the Frameworks folder, and then the Image Processing Framework folder. Go into Versions, and then A, and then Resources, and you'll see Film Curves. There you go. Hold on one second, we're going to do Windows now. On most Windows machines, you're going to want to go into Program Files on C drive, Capture One again, and then Film Curves right here. And they have all the cameras. So what we're going to do is we're going to make copies of a few files, and then we're going to rename them, and then we're going to put them back. Let me show you. You want to look for the XH2S camera right here. You see that? In particular, you want to find these files right here. There's 9 of them, and they end with P1X, and they have Reala Ace in the name, and they're targeted for Fujifilm XH2S. And probably the most straightforward way to do this is to create a temporary folder on, say, your desktop. And we are going to copy these files and paste them in that temporary in-progress folder. You see that? You are not moving them. You are making a copy of them and putting that copy in a temporary folder. Next, you're going to want to find one more file for the XH2S. And this time, instead of PIX at the end of it, it'll say FCRV. Look for the one Reala Ace. You see that right here? Just one, and you're going to make a copy of it and put it in that temporary folder. So you should have a total of 10 files. The next thing you're going to want to do is rename these to get rid of the Fuji XH2S and replace it with Fuji X-T3. Pay really close attention to make sure that you don't have any spaces or other characters in there. The camera name right here is the only thing that you should be editing, and you should still have that dash right after it as you see it here. Once you have them all renamed, you're going to now move them into your Capture One files right here. And you'll see they now appear right here with the other X-T3 files. So let's open Capture One and see if it worked. Once again, I'm going to select that X-T3 raw file right here. And again, I'm going to go to the curve area. Look at this. There it is right here. Boom. And you have Reala Ace. And what's interesting, well, check this out. Here's a comparison between the raw file that we just added Reala Ace to, and also a raw file from an X-T5 where we also applied Reala Ace in Capture One. I'm having a hard time seeing the difference. So here's another thing I did. I exported this file right here from the X-T3 as a JPEG with Reala Ace added, and then I exported a raw file from an X-T5 with Reala Ace added. Check them out here. They look almost identical. In fact, they pretty much look identical. You know, you've been such a great audience that I feel like just giving you a bonus tip here. Let's make it for the X-T4 while we're at it, and it's a lot faster and easier once you've done it for the X-T3. You only need to actually deal with one file. Go back to the ones that you added to the X-T3, and remember that one final file that we edited, that FCRV, here it is. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it, make a copy of it, and when I rename it, obviously I'm going to get rid of the copy right there and change the 3 to a 4. Opening Capture One back up, and right here is a raw file that I shot with an X-T4. Going into Style, into Auto, and there it is right here. Now, there's additional ways and information to get these older camera models that use pre-X-Trans 3 processors to also work with Reala Ace. There's a lot of camera models. I'm not going to go over each one of them. I'm just doing the X-T3 and the X-T4 today. However, if this is something you really want to see, let me know down in the comments below. I will also leave links down in the description below this video to certain resources that I think can help you with this. Remember that this is just for fun and to give us the opportunity to play around with our X-T3 raw files. Well, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you found the video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you did, be sure to give it the like and subscribe. I will see you in a new video very soon. Take care.